as with boxing, when it's at the elite stage, you can't play games.
Out necessarily striving to win. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what I told you. It's WWE. Okay? This is WWE, like I told you.
For multiple reasons. One, they have a huge size difference. Tank Davis, he's a lightweight, normally fights at 135 pounds. And Jake Paul, he's a cruiserweight, usually fights at 200 pounds.
Floyd Mayweather challenges Jake Paul about the no knockout clause in his upcoming bout with Gervonta Davis. He claims Jake is more interested in selling tickets and turning the fight into a spectacle rather than treating it like genuine competition. Floyd insists the match lacks seriousness, but admits both fighters know what they signed up for. He stresses that real boxing should be centered on talent and rivalry, not prearranged rules designed to make the event look like a staged performance.
But like I said before, they know what they're doing. Both brothers.
Wade Plemons posted on X. I think we all saw this as an exhibition, but with the Florida State Athletic Commission saying it will be more about skill than winning through strikes to the head or full contact blows. It's probably not the best way to hype the fight. Lol. Plemons, known for blunt takes in boxing, criticized the commission for downplaying intensity by stressing the lack of real contact. His words suggest fans expecting a real match may feel cheated. Floyd Mayweather, who thrives on competition, even pastrierment, is now seen by analysts as chasing Tyson not only for money, but also pride. The Davis-Paul spectacle has captured attention, yet Floyd ensures no one, not even Tank, outshines him. By staging a Tyson fight, he redirected the spotlight, overshadowing their hype. This is classic Mayweather remain relevant, command headlines, and show his name still carries unmatched power in boxing culture.
Now that there's so many celebrities and so many people that are known, where you can get somebody and they can sell tickets to events, that's what kicked off the social media influence boxing that Jake Paul was birthed from. Now we're in a vacuum. And so there's going to be a lot of conversation about that and continuing to do that. In this particular video, though, I want to get into the mind of Floyd Mayweather Jr. and why Floyd Mayweather Jr. would do this. There is the money, but there's also the competitive nature of Floyd Mayweather Jr. and him not wanting to have other people think that they're a bigger star than he is. Floyd Mayweather Jr. has not been able to really launch his star outside of the sport of boxing, so he continues to do exhibitions. Now, what I think is that Floyd Mayweather Jr. is announced it at this point in time with Mike Tyson in order to take advantage of the publicity heading into the Gervonta Davis-Jake Paul fight, which is, I do believe, set for November. So now that they have all the publicity and all that stuff coming out from that, he's going to piggyback on it and then try to have it in the beginning of next year sometime and actually make it a bigger event than Gervonta versus Jake Paul. And it probably will be. And the reason that I say that is because of Mike Tyson.
3 at the center of the debate is legacy. Mayweather, retired and undefeated, risks nothing in exhibitions. For him, they maintain both money flow and reputation. Jake Paul, new to the sport, uses these spectacles as career-building steps. But for Gervonta Davis, the implications run deeper. Every choice he makes now defines his career path. Prioritizing entertainment over competition could damage his image among purists demanding legitimate challenges. The real question becomes whether a burst of short-term fame is worth the long-term harm to his credibility in boxing.
What is going to happen in that fight is basically the same thing as what's happening to Canelo Alvarez and Terrence Crawford, except for that is a live action fight that is a real competitive fight, but the marketing of it is the same thing. And the fact that somebody is going to pay for it is more likely with Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Mike Tyson than it is with even Jake Paul and Gervonta. But I think that it really is an attempt to compete with Gervonta Davis by setting up a bigger fight than Gervonta Davis is having. And I'm going to tell you this something else too. I would not put it past these people.
For the Davis versus Jake Paul fight may have generated buzz, but Floyd's move guarantees he cannot be ignored. For decades, he's mastered the art of controlling attention, even bending boxing traditions when needed. His latest stunt reflects his competitive instinct. He refuses to let anyone, whether Jake with his celebrity reach or Tank Davis in his prime, be the face of today's boxing scene. By agreeing to fight Tyson, Floyd again made himself the centerpiece. Tyson's nostalgic aura paired with Floyd's perfect record is more marketable than Paul Davis. The real controversy around Paul versus Davis is its unsanctioned status. The commission's rejection of a professional label means it is only an exhibition, not a true fight. Critics argue this pushes boxing toward WWE-style theatrics, where the purpose is spectacle over victory. With knockouts unlikely and no stakes at risk, many dismiss it as a marketing trick. While it may spark short-lived hype, weakens boxing's authenticity in the eyes of purists, longing for real contests.
Will face Gervonta Davis in an exhibition match. Quote, "You can't do a fight like that as a pro fight," Shipman said. It'll be an exhibition fight, end quote. Similarly to the concerning location move, he states that the main reason for this is the significant weight disparity between the two opponents. An exhibition is defined by Florida statutes as a boxing, kickboxing, or mixed martial arts engagement in which persons participating show or display their skills without necessarily striving to win, using strikes, elbows, blah, blah, blah. So, the key word here is, key phrase, show or display their skills without necessarily striving to win. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what I told you. It's WWE. Okay? This is WWE, like I told you. These are setup fights. These are rigged fights. I know Jake Paul gets upset when people say he ain't a real fighter and all that stuff. But I think the Mike Tyson fight pretty much showed everybody that, Mike was pulling back on his punches, and it just was weird to me. You know what I'm saying? Now you got Gervonta Tank Davis getting ready to sell his soul to go up in here and move around the ring with Jake Paul. I don't know what's gonna happen on this. I don't know, but regardless of the fact, the fight is gonna do well because it's gonna be on Netflix. So everybody got Netflix, so everybody's gonna watch the fight. So it's gonna be like a wrestling event, basically, fake scripted.
Ex-world champion Paulie Molina has openly attacked the Paul Davis matchup. He argues knockouts only matter when earned against evenly matched rivals. Manufactured pairings like this, he says, cheapen boxing. He also claims Jake Paul gains unearned respect through events full of spectacle, but lacking substance. In a debate with Chris Algieri, Paulie stated that casuals may be entertained, but serious fans see the fight as hollow compared to genuine championship contests. His criticism exposes the core issue: authenticity. Another factor is the massive weight gap between Jake and Davis. Florida regulators warned that such a gap creates unsafe, unfair conditions. As a result, the bout was only cleared as a sparring-style exhibition with preset rules instead of a sanctioned fight. This decision highlights boxing's structural limits. Entertainment cannot overrule regulations forever. Reframing the event as an exhibition underscores just how unconventional the matchup truly is.
Paulie, knockouts, dude. Knockouts. People like knockouts. They don't care if you're knocking out cab drivers. Look at Jake Paul's career.
You can manufacture that, though. You can manufacture that, though. You can manufacture knockouts.
You can't manufacture.
To a degree, you can. To a degree. I mean, Gervonta legitimately cannot get knockouts. I agree. He can punch, but there's a lot of limited knockout artists, though, man.
He's one of the least active punchers in the game with the highest knockout percentage of current heavyweight.
But if he was a real knockout artist, if he was a real knockout artist, prop him up against the best of the best. Felix Trinidad was a knockout artist. He was knocking out the best of the best. If you're a real knockout artist, prop him up against the best and show us how he smokes them. But the way Wayne did when Felix Trinidad was doing it, the way they did when Mike Tyson was doing it in his prime. Say what you want about the Mike Tyson era. He knocked out everyone from 1986 to 1989. Everyone got knocked out. Everyone.
Well, by your standard, you could say that Tyson was to a degree manufactured.
No,
and
because
Teddy
he
Atlas
fought
will 100%,
everyone that was there. Everyone that was there. At
Teddy
that time
Atlas,
fought.
Teddy Atlas will 100% agree with this.
With the
because
expense
he
of
would say the guys
Witherspoon.
that were afraid of
With
him.
the exception of Witherspoon. No, but they all doesn't matter. He knocked them all out. There was nobody you could say in that era except maybe Witherspoon, who had contract.
You could say the same thing about
who had contract issues with King at the time. Oh, except for Witherspoon, there is nobody Tyson didn't fight in that era. He knocked them all out. You can't say like, oh, but if he would have fought that guy, I don't know. No, with Davis, there's guys right now that have been hanging around for years. Yo, dude, when you gonna fight them? The lightweight division was stacked with talent. Even at 130, it had a lot of talent when he was there. Didn't fight almost any of them. So it's not the same thing as the Tyson era. You want to say anything about Tyson era? Fine. It wasn't as high level or something. He still knocked out everyone. There was nobody there in that era that you could say Tyson didn't fight.
Didn't say it was related. It was the same as the Tyson era. Didn't say it at all. I was actually going to say the opposite when you talk about Trinidad. Trinidad is a bona fide superstar, and the way that he was, and like you said,
you
he
stepped
fought
him up
everybody,
and he knocked out.
and he was a knockout punches. No, of course. So that's a different thing. So is Sugar Ray Leonard. Now you also have to compare it to your contemporaries. Nobody is selling, dude. Nobody is selling. No one sells tickets. No one has a following these days. There's very few fighters who actually
there's
sell
a
tickets.
push, bro. I was at
Canelo
Showtime.
Alvarez.
I was at Showtime.
Canelo
There's
Alvarez.
a push. Bro, but champ. I don't want to keep cutting you off, but I got to because
They
here's the
all
thing.
push.
They
work,
there's a
sometimes
push
they don't.
for certain people. I remember being at Showtime and even watching on HBO on TV. They're mentioning Saul Alvarez, who I didn't even know his name was Canelo at the time, as a possible Mayweather opponent when they were talking about possible Mayweather opponents. I'm like, I knew who the rest of the guys on the list were. Who the hell is this guy? Who's Saul Alvarez? That he's going on, that you're putting him in a list with all these other guys that you were bona fide champions.
Broadcaster Aid Oladipo presented a different angle. He argued, staging a fight like this while both Paul and Davis are in their athletic peak is a mistake. In his eyes, exhibitions make sense only after fighters' best years, like Mayweather versus Logan Paul. Doing it now, when both have careers still to cement, risks distracting them from legacy-defining battles. For Oladipo, the concern isn't only about spectacle, but about timing. Prime years cannot be regained, and wasting them on sideshows could damage both fighters. Long-term reputations?
Whether you agree with it or not, Gervonta is considered the #1 lightweight in the world. And it's a division that includes Shakur Stevenson, a lot of young guns coming up. I'm not any more sure if it's going to include Keyshawn Davis, but it's a hot division. He's considered #1 in that division. Like, that's why I kind of find this a bit, I don't know. Like, there are challenges out there for Gervonta. There are big money fights out there for Gervonta. We want to see Gervonta in those fights. Again, I don't know how many fights people want to see AJ in, just to make the AJ-Jake Paul comparison. One, as far as I'm concerned, that was Tyson Fury. I don't really have any interest in seeing an AJ in any other more fights. Whereas Gervonta Davis, I wanted and still do want to see him in so many more fights. So, yeah, it's kind of weird. These exhibition things are, like, really and truly, they should all be when your career's done. Like, when you think of Floyd versus Logan Paul, it's done, right? Floyd versus Conor. Did he have one more after? Was that it? I can't even remember. But it was right at the end. It was done. Right at the end. Even if it wasn't, right at the end. These guys having these exhibition fights in between what is the peak of their career is kind of weird for me. Very, very weird. And then it isn't even comparable to Ngannou Fury, because at least these guys were the same size. Like, Jake Paul is a 215, 220 pound guy. I don't know what he walks around at. Gervonta fights at 135. Guessing he walks around about